All right, we're doing our usual. I don't even know what to like. It is called the live show, but I like to refer to it as the Saturday roundup, where there's a bunch of little different events that occur throughout the week that get discussed here. So, episode 4 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out yesterday, and I watched it. I think I mentioned I stay up until it comes out at 12 o'clock, and it was I think easily the best episode so far. It had a lot of points that took me by surprise. Um, it's hard to talk about things without spoiling it, so I'll say that I was really impressed by what I saw, and I don't usually like to just sing the praises of the MCU because enough people do that. Um, but it was really good in my opinion. I'm certainly this is probably the most excited I've been for one since it started, just based off of the ending of episode 4. Like I'm enthusiastic to see how that plays out over the other two that are supposed to be released in the next 2 weeks. It is sad that people are giving the actor who plays John Walker threats. You know, I like that's one of the reasons I would always prefer being a voice actor to a physical one because people are it's harder for them to recognize you, so you're able to disassociate with the character much easier than if you appear on screen. I think it's just so sad. Like you do this job and you have to meet a physical regiment and sign contracts and there's a lot of stuff that's involved with being an actor and then you do this role that's designed to be like not liked by the audience and then you get hated on by people who apparently think you are your character. I just think it's really awful. So I'm looking forward to the next one. I really enjoyed this and I'm glad I gave the show a chance. I've seen some people speak negatively about it, but like I said, the same group of people who do that. What's a way of saying it? I made this comment about how online there's always someone who dislikes something, so it's not worth really getting bent out of shape over that kind of stuff anymore. When you know that somebody on the computer always has a problem with something, so I'm not gonna get too worked up. I was non-binary. They got mad at me for misusing their pronouns, and I've never been able to live it down. They always remind me, "You didn't refer to me as this." Like, I'm sorry. I hope we don't see any recurring villains pop up because they love showing up on Saturday and Monday. That was really crazy because I remember there was a time where, like, when you do a video, you were more likely to get people messing with you, and now it seems like they want to act a fool on a stream. No, I said that after seeing you just because I was referring to a prior thing we had exchanged. I would specifically call you that if I thought you were. Oh God. I hope our usual crowd of characters decides to pop up. That's a really crazy thing where it's like once you get past the 30-minute mark, that's when people just start just showing up in spades or like not even because I don't proclaim myself to be some very popular person on here, but I have noticed that there's a higher tendency for larger numbers of people to show up, like at a certain point. I find that very interesting. Like everybody all of a sudden gets the notification about the stream at the same time. We might as well go into Fisher right now. I was hoping we could get more people in here because it's hard whenever I have like a main topic I want to discuss. Generally, I try to wait until there's like 6, 7, 8 people to start talking about it, but I might get into a little bit earlier. The stream will be less than an hour. There was originally supposed to be a romance video this week. What happened was I wrote most of the script last month, and then someone wrote something very, very ridiculous last week, and I got permission to use it in the video. So I was like really confident about that part of the video, but not so much about the other parts. I just didn't feel like gathering the screenshots. So it'll either be this week or next week. I'm not rushing it. I might still rewrite. Like I recorded it, but I don't feel entirely confident of it. That's what happens usually when there's like a big gap between me writing the start of a script and the last part. There's always this you have like a larger uneasiness because you think maybe you forgot something in that time period where you didn't write anything. And that's what ends up happening with me and those scripts. Oh, this website is such a goof fest. I was really feeling bad too because I was trying to do this at 12, but then somebody was playing a game, so I was waiting for them to finish, and I just saw whatever. Oh, and my eyes started burning. All right, let's get started on the Fisher thing. I'm not about to sit here all day waiting for people to show. So, I'll never let you live down using the wrong pronouns. More ha 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 ha. It seems like people are that way, and I tried to explain that the problem with the pronouns is that the length of what's the way of saying it? The length of problematic nature applies to with each person that has their pronouns mispronounced. So like for example, Ezra Miller says that they prefer using the they pronouns, but that they are also fine with people calling them a he. And again, that's cool for Ezra Miller. But then if you move over to other people who have different pronouns and you call them the wrong thing, you have to hope that that person doesn't get mad at you and try to get upset. James, I'm definitely using that lady's comment. I mean, that was so goofy. And look, I don't want to fully describe it here because I want to save it for the video. But I'm gonna read this part of it. Just yesterday, my friends were talking about a girl wanting to be called they. Yeah, you better refer to them as they, or else you're a bigot. No, I want to read it. I want to read a little piece of it. Uh, where did I put it? Because I was sharing that with some people. We were all laughing at that. The best thing you can do to prepare yourself for a relationship is to work on yourself. Keep making yourself the best person you can be, and I promise you the right one will come along. Good luck. Don't lose confidence in yourself. You seem very well composed. Okay, if you can promise someone that the right one will come along, why do they need good luck? James, tomorrow I'm going to pay you $10. Good luck. Non binary. I promise you, people will refer to you by whatever pronouns you would like. Good luck. Every time I stream, I get called by the same person. Hello? He's playing some game. No, he's All right, let's resume our regularly scheduled program. James, I promise you that your channel will have 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Good luck. Who is this hound dog? The only hound I remember is the one from Transformers, that the one that turns into a Jeep, the green one. He was a cool character. He has the same problem that a lot of characters have, where I like them, but there are so many other characters I like more that they kind of get left in the background. That comment was so goofy. The right one will come along. What do you mean by the right one? Like in the video, I mentioned how uh, I don't know what that means. Like, is the right one a woman you're attracted to? Oh, thanks. Those tend to get the least attention. Imagine going to school to learn about something and you do videos about it, and it gets less views than the thing you just experienced. I just think that's so ironic. That's like me going to school to be a physicist, and I make videos about that, and then they get like barely any views. Then I start talking about baseball, and it just explodes. Hound, I promise you, the next time you show up on a stream, I'll remember you. Good luck. Like, what is that? And I'm not even that upset because I've seen that same comment written like 8 or 9 different times, um, where they try to when this person says the best that you can be, I don't know what that means. The right one, it's all nebulous crap. It's stuff that just it's word salad. I promise you this will happen. Good luck. That's her way of like backhandedly admitting that she still doesn't think it's gonna happen. Like if I say tomorrow the sun will come up, I promise you, I'm not gonna say good luck. I hope the sun comes up. Oh my god. And that's only half of the comment is the screwed up part. I promise you that you will find $100 on the ground. Good luck. What do they mean by being the best you can be? I mean, you read that trash she wrote. So to get a random chick, just a random one, right? Who, for all we know, hasn't done anything to make herself the best she can be for you. You're supposed to get involved in your community. What was the rest of that crap? Pursue a higher education and maintain your physique. Just to maybe get some random woman to go to the movies or eat something. Oh my god. They really expect you to just jump through all these hoops. Somebody said that there should be what Sonic game is that? There's a Sonic game where he jumps through hoops, like he jumps through rings. Like, I know he collects rings in most of the games, but there's like a 3D game where he jumps through rings. And they should have it like reskin that with the guy trying to get a woman. Like he just jumps through enough hoops, the woman will appear at the end of the stage. I have a trade skill, so I don't need to pursue higher education. But even if you did, why? Like, even if you wanted to, right? Why should you have to do that to get like? I hope they realize most people don't have degrees because we've never had someone who hasn't pursued higher education that was able to get a date. Yeah, that's one of them. Um, I know I think for Sonic Heroes that was in there as well. When you go to the flight mode and then you go through the ring, and then they had that Superman 64 game where you fly like this and go through the ring. That is insane. This is crazy. Nor does everyone have the money to afford. Yeah, I said that before. That when you don't have support, you get screwed over. That's what ended up happening with me. Remember that when you try to get a broad to like you, you have to be Superman. So she doesn't have to do any of that stuff, but she's supposed to be able to latch on to you after you do those things. I'm so sick of that. Oh, and then I also said, because in her comment, what I said in my video, that comment wasn't even necessary. Like what I said in the video, I did everything where I can be the best I can be, and it still didn't work. Well, James, that's what I was talking about when I said so many of these comments don't actually, it's like they didn't even watch the video. Because when I did the one that got the 200,000 views, um, very few of the people that were detracting from me actually were responding to what I was saying or like, anything that I actually talked about. They just used the video as a vehicle for them to write their, fan fiction and unsolicited advice and the rest of that trash. Isn't it ironic that I didn't leave a comment until I asked for the like to use the other person's comment? And I remember like what you said in the video more so than the people who were trying to respond to what you said in the video. Yeah, now I know how you feel. Yeah, because it sucks because when you do those videos, even if you don't write a script, you try to at least think about what you're going to say, right? Put it into words and just think about it. And then when you say it, maybe it's not scripted, maybe it's not the best um, way of addressing it, but at least you're trying and you're articulating what your problem is with this group of people and the repetition of turning you down. And then the response is a non-response. It's people talking about the way you look or giving advice that you never asked for, even if the advice spits in the face of the information they're given. No one actually responds to what you're saying on any topic. Um, the political guys are more likely to respond to what I'm saying. I've seen them, like people who don't like my stuff will still usually respond to what I'm saying. So I'm not entirely on board with that. I think it's just for the romance stuff that people create fan fiction and don't want to actually address what someone's saying. And that stuff played a big part in why I no longer write comments to people. So there was a person that left, what was it, 5 or 6 paragraphs on one video. I think you know what I'm talking about. And he was like, I bet he'll respond to me in a stream. The reason I do that is because when someone writes a lengthy comment to me on here and I respond back accordingly, I try to address each part of their comment to me. And what ends up happening is they usually, when they respond, don't actually address what you're saying to them in response to what they said. So, for example, this person was asked how, like, by another one of the users on the channel, how do I self-loathe? Like, when have I done that? And they also asked, can you give examples of him not being accountable? Stuff like that, right? And they didn't address where I self-loathe. And again, it's just an example of how when they're asked to provide, when a response is given to what they're saying, they respond with a non-response. They like skip over pieces of the message. And a lot of them will do this thing where they write something long and then you write something long and they say, I'm not reading that. It's like, all right, well, I'm not writing anything else anymore. That's the punishment for that. I don't have time to maintain my physique when I have a physically demanding job. Why do these people think working out is the be all and all? They were begging the question. Yeah, they have some weird obsession with the gym. And like I said, they make chicks sound even worse than anything I've ever said about them because they're telling you that if you don't have this particular physique, none of these broads will be attracted to you. Which again is a long-term thing that you're not going to be able to maintain. Like I said, I don't know anybody in their 50s or 60s or 70s that has muscles. I don't know anyone personally. So it's a temporary thing that you're being told is going to make this person attracted to you and they'll like you forever. Imagine if I came on here and said to go on a date with me, you have to go to the gym. Everybody on this website would call me shallow, but when it's said that you're supposed to do that for a woman, you don't see people saying that. I like food too much. I don't mind going to the gym, but dieting is the hard part for me. Well, again, nobody here frowns upon someone wanting to go to the gym. We're simply saying that if your motive for going is so that some random broad who herself likely isn't even going there can find you attractive enough to go on maybe a date. I just don't see where it's worth it. No one stays good looking forever. It's not even about just like good looking, it's that they want you to do these things that are temporary and are very superficial while trying to assure you that the person will like you for who you are. Become a millionaire to get a woman to go on a date with you. They're definitely not gold diggers while we're telling you to do that. Like I said, you'd never see somebody tell a woman to do that. Those guys are stereotyping, or they usually see guys who are physically fit have girlfriends. A good example is famous athletes. Okay, but most men aren't famous. So when you start telling everyone that they have to increase their status and wealth to get some random person to like them, it's a recipe for disaster because everybody can't do the same things. I just think this whole thing is really stupid. Like, just to get a date, you have to do these 99 steps. And then even if you do these things, these people will still blame you for it not happening anyway. This is why I'm going to remain alone. Relationships are such a drain. Hey, let's not bring up the guy in the storage unit again. Oh, I remember that clown. Yeah, 500 push-ups a day and 3 miles of running a week. And people think that's normal. Like, he wrote that and was serious about it. And when he was asked, "Why do you always write things that don't address what I say by Tina?" He responded by saying, "He has a fat face. This diet will cut him up." You see what I'm talking about? How when you give these people the chance to expand upon their points, they don't actually address the points being made or the question asked to them. They just say more random, stupid crap. I'm examining the proportions of another man's appearance. That's totally not homosexual in the slightest. That'd be funny. He logs on YouTube and the YouTube the little square with the play sign is like rainbow color. Like I said, you would never catch me doing that to any man on this website. Like, go on his video, let me examine him. Oh my god. That's what in the video I said that the chick thing isn't that big of a deal. Like, it isn't something that you should actually feel bad about because the opposition to me not wanting to talk to them anymore is almost exclusively men. Like, if it was such a big deal, I don't talk to them anymore. Wouldn't there be some of them on the videos demanding why I don't speak to them? I talked about it earlier and nobody showed up. I'm trying to talk about this lunatic, but I have to. I was trying to get through this point I was making. In my opinion, I don't think anyone is to blame. It's not your fault for not being able to be in a. Oh, don't do that, James. Please don't do that. There was a guy who actually wrote that like 2 or 3 years ago that it's not the fault of the man or the woman as to why the relationship didn't start. But here's the thing. Um, if it came out that you, let's say, turned down a woman, right? It could be someone for whatever the reason was. Men online would say it was your fault that nothing happened between you and that person because you're the one who made the decision for nothing to happen. They would tell you to take responsibility for why it didn't happen by being the person who said, "No, I don't want to do this." But if it's the woman who declines, oh, it's not her fault. Those double standards are looking better every day. I usually have a three flag system for the potential partners I talk to. If they give off more than three red flags, I ghost them. They do a lot of ghosting. Like on Reddit, a lot of those chicks just randomly stop responding. So I just I wouldn't feel bad about ghosting. They do that to a lot of people. What were you gonna say about Falcon? I already said at the start. I said this was the best episode, in my opinion, out of the four that have been released so far, and it surprised me in multiple instances. But again, I wasn't trying to spoil it for people who hadn't seen it. Yeah, me neither. I wouldn't feel bad about it too. No, I'm just saying that I think when you say that it's not their fault for rejecting someone, it's not fair to men because if it's found out that you reject someone, people use it against you. That's why you're single. You rejected this one broad, so that's why none of the other ones like you. Because it makes total sense that out of the billions of chicks on this planet, only one or two of them would like you in your entire lifetime. No, Megumi, we were just addressing the double standard of how there are people who say it's not the. Let me see what Tony is saying. If I may ask, oh, okay, he's writing something down. No, Megumi, we were talking about how there's a double standard where there are men who will say it's not the woman's fault if she rejects you, but if you reject a woman, you're blamed for why it didn't happen, which I think is fair because you're telling the person no, you're saying I'm not doing this. Like, but again, it's like it's a double standard because when the woman does it, it's not her fault. When the man does it, it's your fault. Oh, Megumi, tomorrow you're gonna get I don't know. Let's go do another example of that broad's comment. You're gonna get 30 subscribers tomorrow. I promise you that. Good luck. For real, we should all know by now that it really is one sided, all designed to be antagonistic towards guys. It's so crazy how they're like. I never would have thought men would be this aggressive towards other men for not being able to get with the broad because they do this to people who don't make videos about it as well. Probably not to the same extent, but they do it to them as well. It's like they really have it built in to just crap on you for not getting with some random chick. Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I rejected a girl recently and got dogpiled. I just blocked everyone and took a walk outside. I just picture him on their website, just block, 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 and then just put his hand in his pocket, go for a stroll. Let's see what else is here. Uh, I have seen some people saying that the show is bad because of the one scene in episode 2 where the cop comes up and tries to, like, ask Bucky if Falcon is harassing him or bothering him. It's like the scene is less than 3 minutes long, and they're saying that that ruined the show. Did this woman blindly No, Megumi. Someone in this comment section recently, and it wasn't me, recently made a video about, not getting with a woman or whatever, and his video is kinda similar to mine where you talk about all the stuff you did and tried and it didn't work, and then some woman who says that she's with a great guy, but, for some reason is on the video of a man who is saying he's single because that's what people who are with great guys do. They look for videos with men talking about not getting with a woman. She promises him that if he is the best, if he becomes the best he can be, the right one will come along, and then says good luck. And it was weird because why would someone who can promise something need to also, like, why do you need luck for something a person can promise you? Megumi, tomorrow, let's say I'm your employer. Tomorrow I will pay you $300. I promise you that. Good luck. Like, what is that? Anyways, let me get into this psychopath. I'll talk about this a little bit later. Um, it was April of 2001, and there was a guy who used to do some hunting. I don't remember what his other occupation was. His name was Robert Fisher, and he was married to this woman for about 10 years. Some relatively lengthy amount of time, not like a 2-year thing. But they had 2 kids, and his parents had divorced when he was a child, or rather, when he was in high school, and it is said to have affected him very negatively. And he thought that divorce was the worst thing you could do to children. So when it appeared that his wife was getting ready to divorce him, he shot her in the head while she was sleeping and slit the throat of both of his kids and then blew up their house. And then disappeared into the woods, and to this day has never been seen or found. And today is actually the 20th anniversary of when this occurred. The reason I mention this story is actually for a couple of reasons. One is that people online like to assign romantic relationships as a signal that someone is a good person or decent. Um, so, for example, when you get into an argument with someone online, they'll say, "This is why you're probably single. This is why no woman wants to put you in a mattress." And when you see men who kill their children, I think any reasonable person would say that's a bad thing. That is a person who is not good. So it pokes a hole in the narrative that having a family or being in a relationship automatically makes you a good or better person than someone who is single. No, I like when I look at these comments, they act like wife beaters don't exist. They act like men that molest their children don't exist. Just there are so many instances of people who we can prove had a partner or with some broad for some time doing evil things. I mentioned a story about how in Chicago about 6 years ago there was a 9-year-old boy whose dad was a gangbanger, and he was killed as a revenge tactic by these two guys for some beef they had with his father. And then one of the guys that killed his child was bailed out by his girlfriend. So this woman was content with dating a man that murdered a kid. But when you come online, people say, "Oh, you probably are this, you probably are that." Like they really try to put a negative connotation around being single or unrequited attraction, whatever, to say something bad about you when there are plenty of people who have a partner, who have been with multiple people. They're pieces of garbage. And I was mentioning that a lot of the like world leaders that have like just unanimous negative reputations, you know what I'm talking about, uh have had
Mhm.
partners, and some people say, oh well, that's because they had power and they fought. It's like, but you can look at serial killers that have had I brought up Ramirez and how he was found guilty of killing all these different people, 10 people at least, and he got married in jail to a woman who said she would kill herself if his execution was carried out. And they were married for a number of years, and she only left him after there was DNA testing that seemed to confirm that he had something to do with molesting an underage girl. But for some reason, people love perpetuating this idea that because you have a partner, you're good, or because you don't have one, you're bad. And you don't see this done to women. You don't see anyone like they had an entire movement about them being independent. I don't need no man. But then if you're not with a woman, oh, there's something wrong with you. Even though there are plenty of men who have been with women that do very evil things. James says people are dumb. Absolutely true. Even your video on these known criminals who have had partners or been married. Yeah, about 5 or 6 years ago in San Bernardino, there was a couple, like not just two terrorists, but they were a couple, a man and a woman who had a kid together, that went and killed people over there. And the guy was radicalized by the woman. Hell, I can, if I dig farther enough, I can actually show you the story of the woman that got with this man, and after he became infatuated with her, he killed 3 people just to become married to her and live happily ever after. And then when his fantasy collapsed and the police got on him, he revealed all the how she was involved in her role and everything. I really don't know where people get this delusion that having a partner or being liked by some random broad makes someone good. Hell, the guy that shot up what school was that? It's not Sandy Hook. It's the one in Florida. Marjorie Douglas. He had some broad who wrote him a letter saying that she was in love with him after his shooting, and they had to keep these letters away from him because the letters were encouraging, this violent thing that he did. But they keep on saying, if you're not with the woman, you probably approach in a weird way, or you're probably this, or you're that, or oh, you said this, just stupid. I feel bad for David Hogg. Like, imagine surviving a school shooting, and then you have some crazy congresswoman following you, some crazy future congresswoman following you behind with a phone, going, "Why did you make this up? Why did you lie?" The same thing with Sandy Hook. It's like these people lost their children, and you're gonna have people that say that was fake. Yeah, Hound. There are so many of them. I do forget the names occasionally of the schools, and that might sound cruel and evil and messed up, but it's hard to remember them. All I have think about is prison was able to marry the daughter of a billionaire. Oh yeah, the guy whose mugshot was going around. See, that's why when people say that chicks are attracted to men for how they act, that's a bunch of BS. Here's a guy who got swept, who was sitting in jail, and his mugshot is online. These chicks don't know anything about him other than that he's in prison without a dollar in his pocket, and they were like, "Ooh, he's so attractive." Mm. How did you become successful? Oh, my picture or my mugshot went viral on the computer, and then I got married to some hair of fortunes. They would that is insane. They say it's agenda to get rid of their it's stupid. I don't know what Dio is saying facts about. No, the Fisher thing is really scary because I couldn't imagine, like, you have this person you get married to, and then you have these children, and then because you don't want the kids to go through a divorce as you did, you think it's a better idea to kill them. And remember, that's not the first or last time it happened. John List did the same thing in the 70s, where when he believed his family was veering from religion and they were going to be impoverished, he killed his wife, his mother, and I think, yeah, he had 3 children, so 5 members of his family all murdered. And then he disappeared for about 18 or 20 years before he was captured and got married to some other woman who believed that it wasn't him, even though they matched the fingerprint. We don't even need to bring up Chris Benoit. That's the only one I feel sympathetic for because we can actually prove that his brain was not all there. But you know, I'm just saying there's a long history of men who either have a girlfriend or are married doing evil, violent stuff that's way worse than anything I ever did. And they're gonna start talking about if you're not with the woman, that tells us something about you. What does it tell you about them? They try to cover up reality and prolong their fairy tale. If those two are together, that must mean they are very nice, decent human beings. That's why they have each other. You remember what Chris Brown did to Rihanna, right? And again, I'm not here to make fun of that or fun of her or whatever, but again, think to yourself, she willingly dated this man who was thought of as a good person, and then he did that. But let's keep on prolonging the fairy tale. All the good guys get with chicks, yo. I'm telling you, like, only in the last 20 years has getting with the broad become difficult. Like, the worst men in the world always had some broad by their side. Like, Bundy had all those chicks that were lusting after him at his trial. Gacy was married at one point, and then he did all his little murders. Like, I don't. BTK had a wife. I don't know where this idea came from that, like, getting with the chick supposedly tells us something about you. Like, it's like they're the, what do you call it? The sign as to whether or not someone is good or not. That's crazy. It used to be one of the easiest things in the world to get with LeBron. Talking about you need to have status to get with one. I was like, nobody even knew who any of these people were, and they still have some. I love it when they say you have to have money to get with a broad, and then you go in like the most impoverished neighborhoods, and there are like men living there with kids. Like, how did that happen? It's a lovely fairy tale. They just, and I don't have like a little list of these or anything. I just remember them. Yeah, and if you think about it, it just paints a really bad picture of female nature in general, that they are attracted to negative, bad traits of guys. But see, I'm trying to get you to understand that when you don't give a situation nuance, when you don't use your brain to say maybe it's not right to tell someone that they're a piece of trash because they're not with a woman, especially when we can prove that men who have been with women have done very bad things. You get these pigeonholed realities where they just try to stuff you in the box. Oh, the bad men that are, being racist and misogynistic and all this trash. They don't get with women. Only the good guys get with chicks. Let's pretend all those things I just brought up don't happen. I remember when my grandpa was in college, there was a guy that in Texas climbed up to the top of the building and shot a bunch of people, and he was married, and he killed his wife before that. Like, I remember that was in '64. That was the what school was that? The University of Texas. Let me see. Charles Whitman. And that was really a big deal when it happened because that was an era where you didn't really have that kind of, those like violent lone gunman type things that often, anywhere near as often as now. Of course, not all women are like that. But again, they don't believe in nuance. They want to oversimplify everything so they get answers that are more akin to what they would like to see reflected. Yeah, to this day, people wonder if Fisher is alive or not. I lean toward. I kind of I really don't know. Like, part of me says yes because he left his car and his dog in one place, and he could have just easily ran off somewhere. And then the other part says no because he loved the dog. Why would he leave it there? I don't know. But the longer it takes for them to find him, the more convinced I am that he's dead. That's usually what ends up happening, where they assume that the person is dead because of how long it's been since they've been seen. Yep, my mom went to school then. It really wasn't until Columbine that like the whole thing of being like a violent gunman or like a violent young man was associated with difficulty with getting with the broad. Because before that, a lot of the people that did that type of stuff had somebody. I think there was a guy that let me see if I want to bring up the McDonald's one. Now I don't need to use that. I've given enough examples. People who try to convince you that being with the woman makes someone a good person or makes not being with makes you a bad person are really deluding themselves. Yeah, that sounds insane, but it just goes to show that the ones who are married or in relationships are also susceptible to resorting to violence or crimes. Yeah, and it's like, we were talking about how there are merits to being single. If that woman never got married, that wouldn't have happened to her. Now, of course, you can say, oh, well, she just married the wrong man, but she was married to the quote unquote wrong man for 10 years. So when you're with that person for that long, any normal person would think if they're looking outwardly, they probably have some level of trust in them. Just like with that woman that got murdered by the guy that you know, did the Texas shooting in '64. If she wasn't married to him, she might still be alive today. Same thing with Benoit. If his wife divorced him when she intended to, her and her son might still be alive today. There are a lot of merits to being single, and there are a lot of ways that people can get screwed over by being with someone. And that's something that's not talked about because a lot of people on a computer like to be condescending and they like to pretend that because you're with someone, you're living happily ever after in this magic fairy tale fantasy land where nothing bad ever happens. And I think it's extremely dangerous to have this almost childlike view of relationships. Just like the guy who was telling me about, oh, you're very young. I wouldn't. I posted his comment in that video I did. Stop promising me a woman. He's been married not once, not twice, but 3 times. He gonna sit up here tell me about waiting for the one to pop up. Well, apparently you thought the one was there twice and got tricked, or deluded, or bamboozled, or hoodwinked. And again, I'm not trying to make fun of that person. I'm simply saying that when you talk to a whole bunch of chicks that you at least are comfortable enough with to want to go on a date with, and they turn you down over and over, believing that there's this one particular broad that is going to be so uniquely different from all the other ones starts sounding like more and more of a fantasy. I mentioned before when that chick did the um I showed the screenshots. You're I don't think I'm good enough for you. And then what was it, like 2 or 3 weeks later? I don't think this will work out for many reasons. That was the last lie. After that, I no longer believed in the one, because I know that most chicks will not admit directly to you that they think you're too good for you, for them rather. So if one who says that, like that much lack of confidence, or and is like propping me up that much, still turns me down, I know it's just it's a never-ending sewage system of lies and disappointment. Oh my god. And there are a lot of people who will write this stuff off as being negative, but I think one of the reasons I like discussing this is because I don't see discussions reflected that are akin to this by other channels. I don't see it, or I didn't see it when I was still watching other people. Yeah, it really is sad just how much you need to condition yourself due to the amount of BS chicks have done to you. And it's even worse when you remember that you're told about these broads, right? Not all of them are the same, even though they keep doing the same thing to you over and over, right? And if I were to come on here and say they're all the same, I would be called sexist. I would be called all kind of different terms. But no one's ever going to question, wait a second, if they're doing this to him and they're doing this to all these different people that watch his stuff, maybe there is something wrong with them. This isn't really in the video, but I'm going to talk about it at some point, where when I made the case that men shouldn't approach women, like I don't think they should, because most of the time it's a waste of time. I was saying that because I have had encounters with chicks where they will express frustration at getting approached by so many different men that they don't like. So if men apparently are content with most of the chicks that will accept them, or go on a date with them, but the chicks aren't content with most of the men that approach them, shouldn't it be flipped? Shouldn't it be the chicks that are going out and like approaching men, and then the men just sit there in their little high horse waiting for some broad to show up and reveal her interest? In the video, I mentioned the one broad that was complaining about everywhere she went online, she gets approached. And I had no sympathy for her. And I explained in the video that when you come on the computer, unless your job makes you make a Facebook or Discord or uh, Twitter or WikiPiss, you sign up to those websites voluntarily. And you would never see a man who is like complaining that women keep trying to talk to him on these different websites be sympathized with for putting himself in that situation. I mean, when we think about it, if you approach 90 chicks and they turn you down, but you thought all of them were at least attractive enough or appealing enough to want to go on a date with, and then these chicks get approached by, let's say, 10 guys on average, right? And they only like maybe one or two of them. Shouldn't it be the women approaching the men and the men sitting there just waiting to see if someone says something to them? Because I don't see any men that are complaining about like having chicks attracted to them. It's usually considered a what's the way of saying it? They might not be attracted to every broad or whatever, because I certainly am not, but they're a lot more likely to reciprocate. Which again, I already had my own theory about that. When you're so starved for attention, you'll take anything that comes to you. And some of them will throw that back in your face. They'll be like, "Oh, you only like me because nobody." Okay, but If the person likes you, why do you care that nobody else is approaching them? Like, if I meet some woman who says she thinks I'm attractive, you think I'm gonna care that I'm only getting accepted or like no one else is saying so? Like, it doesn't. It's irrelevant. It doesn't have. Yeah, I would definitely prefer that system. I think it makes more sense. Like I said, this whole thing is just geared against men. It's really insane. At one point, I was thinking of doing a video on standards, and I was going to talk about how there are chicks that'll say they won't date people of this race or men that live here, just little different stuff, right? And nobody ever tells them their standards are too high because they're still able to get someone who meets their base, I guess, thing that they want to do. But then when you're a man and you say you want to, you have like standards. Oh, it's bad. You can't have those. And I was going to talk about how when I was in 12th grade, there was this one chick that said over a text message that she had fallen for me, and I just couldn't do it. I thought she was unattractive physically. I thought she was an idiot because I had seen her. I had a class with her. She cheated on one of her tests. I just didn't find this person appealing in any way, shape, or form. And when the most attractive thing to you, the most attractive thing about you is your gender, that's not a promising sign. So I quickly iced that person out. And I didn't feel bad either because chicks have done it to me 99 times. So if I do it once, hey, it's tit for tat. Since pretty much many chicks always reveal their discontent with having men, many guys approach them, as you said. Yeah. If they think most of the men talking to them are unattractive, then why even bother with them? Like when I said don't approach women, I genuinely think that if men, like just in general, right, the majority didn't approach chicks for a year, they would go crazy. If they posted stuff and nobody said, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful," or tried to send them messages, they would lose their minds. And it would be a different era. Because listen, this is just a hard, cold truth about broads. They're not an endangered species. So I don't really see why I should talk to one who I know has 10, 20, 30 different men talking to her, because that has been the case sometimes where I find out I'm either talking to and then I either offer to leave or leave just right after that. Um, so I don't see why they're like, why is one broad entitled to all of these different men? It doesn't make sense to me. Too much truth and overdose, more like. We get what I'm saying. I don't see the point of them having like, why are they allowed to have all these options? Because I would think it was weird if I got approached by 30 chicks. It's like there are no other men you're attracted to. I'm the only one really. I told you sometimes it really feels like chicks only date a man with like the intention of rejecting him, or what do you call it? Like throwing him in the trash at a later point. Like I mentioned the chick that was in the "Why Do Women with Boyfriends Like Talking to Me" video, and when she said, I didn't put this in the video, but I still have the screenshot of it. She asked if she could see a picture of me, and it seemed like really weird and creepy, and it was out of nowhere because I didn't ask her any for any photo of her, but it like knowing that she had a boyfriend, it makes it even weirder because it seems like that's not something a person who is in a relationship with a man they like would do. Like, what would I look like if I had a girlfriend or a wife, and I'm talking to some broad on the computer, just like let's say about the news, right? And then one day I say, "Hey, can you send me a picture of yourself? I'd like to see who I'm talking to." Like that would be weird, and I would look you know, suspicious at the very least. I've spoken to several people for extended for like months and years without seeing what they look like. I don't care. If it's not romantic, it doesn't have anything to do with, but that's why I said it's like chicks are exempt from getting criticized over doing like, for some reason when you're a single man and you talk to a woman, even if it's not about anything romantic, there's like this weird sexual overtone to the stuff. Let me answer this person again. Hello? People ruin everything. Okay, so I was saying there's like this weird sexual overtone to interactions with chicks where even if it's not romantic, they still have like a romantic subtext. Like the chick on Discord that when I asked what are your interests was like, I feel so uncomfortable. That's forwarded as me making a romantic pass towards this person I've never seen or met before by asking them, what are you interested in? I'm not sure if a woman asks for all that attention from males. It's just that all of these guys just want that one woman. Yeah, but I'm saying that I'm not sympathetic toward them because when they're posting on any website, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever the hell, they volunteer. It'd be like if I said, I'm so tired of people commenting on my YouTube videos I put up for public and have the comment section open on. If I didn't put these up, nobody would be saying anything about me. Like they choose to get involved in social media to this extent. That's like the most insane thing, the silly Discord idiot. I still like to this day just no other website has that happened on. Although I did have one person who said asking them what their favorite tea is a personal question. And this same prick asked me if I drew professionally, which like so it's not a personal question to ask me if I'm a professional artist, but it is a personal question to ask them what their favorite tea is. Oh my god. No, James, they bring it upon themselves. Like if they're out in real life, right, and people keep like going, "Hey, how are you doing? Can I have your number?" Okay, I get that. But you're on the computer. You don't have to be on here. You're posting all of this stuff, and then you're surprised when you get attention for it. Can't believe it. You're shocked. Listen, I'd love to continue this, but I have to this person just I have to get somebody to do something. So I'll get back on here on Monday at the same usual time. Uh Again, I just wish people would stop acting like you're a good person just because some random individual with the triangle between their legs likes you back. That's one of the simplest things to do. Millions of men have had it happen. It's only been the last 20 years that it's become much more difficult. Um, but it's not an indicator of if you're a decent individual. Otherwise, we wouldn't have wife beaters. We wouldn't have men that kill their children, molest their children, uncles that no, no, that's okay. That's different. But my point is, you wouldn't have people who have children who are married that do violent or in general bad things because you can still be abusive without touching somebody. So I hope you enjoyed the stream. Um, and again, you just the romantic stuff is depressing because it shouldn't be this difficult to get somebody to like you back. But I would rather be by myself than do a lot of this stuff people online say you're supposed to do. You shouldn't have to go to the gym for some random broad to go see a movie or eat at a restaurant. It's not necessary. And if it truly is that bad, then there's something wrong with the chicks and not you because most of them are not doing this stuff. That's why every time you speak to one of them, it's the chick asking the guy for money. It's never the other way around. But they're gonna get on here and tell you you need to have money, and they're living in a box. A lot of these broads, whatever. It's just It's goofy. I'll see you on Monday.